Scrum again. There's so much interesting stuff in Scrum that we have to talk about it again and again, but we need to do it this time from the lens of the PMI because that's the exam that you're preparing for. So when you take a look at this overlay, this backdrop, it's important to hone in on certain terms that the PMI uses to describe Scrum. Why don't we go on down to the Agile Practice Guide, and why don't you follow me along? Let's open up the book, open it up, okay? And let's go on down to Agile Teams on page 39. And while we take a look at Agile Teams, let's also take a look at what is on the screen regarding Scrum. So all of this is about three roles. We look at this as a team, and Agile teams focus on rapid product development through vehicles like Scrum so that they can obtain feedback. One of the key things we talk about here is the PSI, but be aware that the early day outputs of the team is also going to have a label known as the MVP, minimum viable product. And it's important that we get feedback. And how do we get feedback? By producing this small increment of value with just enough that our customers will be able to give us feedback as far as whether we're on the right track or not. Cross-functional teams produce functional product increments frequently, and that is because the teams collectively own the work and together have all the necessary skills to deliver completed work. Regardless the overall agile approach, whether it's Scrum or Kanban, whatever it is, the more a team limits its work in progress, the more likely its members can collaborate to expedite work across the board. Team members in successful agile teams work to collaborate in different ways. And these are terms that you need to be aware of on your exam. Pairing, swarming, mobbing, pairing. Team members pairing together, either in twos or more. Swarming the work, mobbing the work, attacking the work, and focusing for that period of time intensely to get the work done. Agile projects benefit from team structures that improve collaboration within and among the teams. The PMI then go into page 40 and 41. And this is where they begin talking a little bit more about the team composition. I want you to be aware of PMI's perspective because even though you might have read the Scrum Guide and other documents, it is still important to understand their point of view in the Agile Practice Guide. So when you take a look at the team here, we're talking about dedicated people, we're talking about cross-functional team members, we're talking about people who develop and deliver often, we're talking about integrating all the work activities to deliver finished work. We're talking about a co-located team where possible. I know in the pandemic it's not possible, but as much as possible, we want better communication, improved team dynamics. However we need to do that, we do it. Knowledge sharing, reduce cost of learning, and we could still do that using vehicles such as this one, Zoom. Mixed team of generalists and specialists. We talk about a paint drip, a T-shaped, an I-shaped. We talk about all that stuff, right? If you don't know those, go read them up. We talk about a stable work environment. Now, moving into the specifics, when we talk about the cross-functional team member, this is who we're talking about. People that fall into this bucket over here. And the PMI says cross-functional teams consist of team members with all the skills necessary to produce a working product. Now, we're not just talking about software development alone. We're talking about any line of business. So they could be designers, writers, testers, developers, artists, whoever, whatever it is you're working on, the people needed to get that deliverable are referred to as cross-functional team members. The next role is the product owner. And here you see the PMI say the product owner is responsible for guiding the direction of the project. Now, note the word guide. You got to be careful because we don't want to give the impression that the product owner is a manager of the team. No, they're not. Product owners are responsible for ranking the work based on its business value. You might hear me refer to them as a chief value officer. That's really what they are. Product owners work with the team daily by providing product feedback and setting direction. Now, just because they're giving direction, it doesn't mean they are the team manager. No, it's a self-organized, self-managed team. So it means that the product owner helps the team understand the work. It means the work is small enough to be described on one index card, typically. The product owner works with stakeholders from the business, customers, and the teams to define the product direction. So this is a really powerful individual. Typically, product owners have a business background and bring deep subject matter expertise to the decisions. Sometimes the product owner requests help from people with deep domain expertise, such as architects, or deep customer expertise, such as product managers. Don't confuse the roles. Product owner draws on expertise from a product manager, is what they're saying. Product owners need training on how to organize and manage the flow of work through the team. In Agile, the product owners create the backlog. Now, talking about backlog, you hear the PMI refer to it as backlog, but really what they're saying is product backlog. They're trying not to be too scrummish, but really they're talking about the product backlog that everyone knows, right? But they call it backlog. Now, in all fairness, we could be in the world of Kanban, and we wouldn't call it a product backlog. We might be working on services, for example. So in Agile, the product owners create the backlog for and with the team. The backlog helps the teams see how to deliver the highest value without creating waste. A critical success factor for Agile teams is strong product ownership. You want a solid product owner that understands the business, that understands what needs to be done. Without attention to the highest value for the customer, the Agile team may create features that are not appreciated or needed or insufficiently valuable, therefore wasting effort. So we want this individual known as the product owner to help us to understand if we are on the right path, to be the bridge between the team and the business. So strong product ownership is needed. All right, let's talk about this individual that is loosely referred to as the team facilitator, but really is the Scrum Master in the setting I'm showing you. Let's talk about the Scrum Master. Now, the PMI say the third role typically seen on Agile teams is of a team facilitator, a servant leader. This role may be called, now I actually cringe at saying this, perhaps I won't. This has gotten my Agile tolerance to a peak. I will refer to this person as a Scrum Master, a project team lead, a team coach, or a team facilitator. Oh my goodness, it's hard, but it's here. Page 41, moment of truth. So when they say team facilitator, they could also be talking about a project manager. Cringe, cringe, cringe. Yes, that is the cat out of the bag. Page 41. I think this page needs to be re-edited. But in all honesty, in a hybrid environment, you very well could have someone called, oh cringe, a project manager that is actually working in this capacity. So the reason why I am stressing this is on your exam, no matter how much you love the Scrum Master, you very well may not see that role even mentioned in a lot of questions, my friend. Sometimes you might just see it referred to as any of the things I mentioned here. And yes, while, quite become an Agile purist, if you want to say, I like it exactly how it's supposed to be. But to be quite honest, in the real world, a lot of companies will still say project manager. And I think that's what PMI is trying to accentuate by not calling it a flat out Scrum Master. It's just team facilitator. But they're very clear to say project manager, Scrum Master, project team lead, team coach, team facilitator. All right. Excuse the drama. It's my buddy Roy. I have to blame him because he taught me the right way, and the right way is the right way. Okay. In a world that is purely agile, you're likely not you're likely to see people being called the real things. All right. So big moment of truth came for some of our students when they didn't see it being called what they were expecting. All right, all Agile teams need servant leadership on the team. People need time to build their servant leadership skills of facilitation, coaching, and impediment removal. Initially, many organizations invite external Agile coaches to help them when their internal coaching capability is not yet fully developed. External coaches have the advantage of experience, but the disadvantage of weak relationships in the client organization. Internal coaches, on the other hand, have strong relationships in the organization, but may lack the breadth of experience that will make them highly effective. All right, so the lesson to be learned from that page, my friends, is on your exam. If you do not see Scrum Master, think again. It could be team facilitator. It could even be called project manager. Yes, I know some of you in the Scrum world, you don't like it, but remember you're taking PMI's exam. Okay, enough said. So going back here, my friends, those are your 3 roles talked about from a PMI lens. Now, to finalize, I did mention a few strange terms, and I'll just like to clarify them. Some people have deep specializations in one domain, but rarely contribute outside of that domain. These people are known in Agile communities as I-shaped people. So this is your team right here. You could, in your team, have some folks who are I-shaped. Let's say you've got an I-shaped team member. That person has one specialism, that's it. By contrast, T-shaped people supplement their expertise in one area with supporting but less developed skills in associated areas and good collaboration skills. As an example, a person who can test some areas of the product and develop different areas of the product is considered to be a T-shaped person. So right there in the middle of your team, you could still have someone who is a T and someone who is an I. And that's really what they're trying to say. Another term they use, so this is would be a T-shaped person, and this would be an I-shaped person. Another term that we use is paint drip, and paint drip just means not only do you have one specialized area, you've got different areas, but you've got different degrees of specialty. So if you're going to draw it out, you have someone who is with a broad base, but the paint drip or the broken comb, as it's also called, shows someone that has varying degrees of specialisms across many different areas. And we just call it broken comb or paint drip. All right, that's what that means. All right, in closing, I do want to encourage you to read all the information on page 42, 43, and 44. And in our next episode, we will talk specifically about the Scrum Master's role. All right, see you in the next episode.